Hey guys, this is our second discussion, and we're talking about chapters 5 and 6 of Lord of the Flies.
Okay, so I'll go first. So the chapter 5 starts where Ralph blows the conch shell, and the boys all come onto the beach, and the whole meeting that they have there is basically about how none of them have been really meeting their standards. Like, they haven't been taking care of anything, they haven't been doing anything required of them, and they've been refusing to work and build shelters for themselves to live in. So they've really just been sleeping at the camp, which is just made of like makeshift tents and stuff. And they also haven't been gathering drinking water, and they neglect the signal fire, which is the fire that they use to like know when something bad is happening. And they don't even use the designated toilet area either. They just like use the lavatory wherever they choose. So they haven't been following any of the rules.
And by they, we're meaning like the group, like the little youngs.
And they also, Ralph is like really upset about how they let the fire out when they could have had a chance to be saved. So he really like goes on about how important it is to keep the fire going. And then he really steps up as a leader, I think, in chapter 5 when he like calls everyone over. And
And like, since Ralph and Jack are like both the leaders, like they usually butt heads, but in these chapters they are actually like agreeing, which was like unusual of them. And like,
And another thing is the beast. So they still think that there's a beast there, even though Ralph tells them that there's not a beast. One of the little ones says that like he saw a shadow of a beast, and the others are like press him about it. They're like, where did you see it? Where was it? And he just like can't remember. I think maybe it's from being under stress, and that's just like kind of messed up his thought process. But he thinks that it'll come up from the ocean at night. So all of the little ones are really like scared, and the meeting turns into complete chaos. And Ralph says that he may back down from being group leader because he can't handle it and nobody listens to him. But Piggy stops that, and he says, no, you need to stay, because if you aren't the leader, then we'll have Jack leading us, who is turned into a savage.
Yeah. Piggy and Jack definitely don't like each other, and so Piggy was like, he doesn't like you, but he respects you, and after you're out of the way, I'm the next in line, so I'm gonna be like, if he is leader, he's just gonna ridicule him. And then also with the beast, like the little kids, they say they're like in a nightmare, and then like they wake up outside and like it comes out from the water, and they just have like a really big like discussion on this, and how like some people are like very like there's not a beast, some people think there is a beast, and they're like fighting over it.
Yeah, I think most of the group thinks there is a beast, because like they keep like searching for it, but then like the older ones are like, no, there's not a beast. Like the leaders, like the two older leaders were agreeing that there's like no monsters, and there's like, and then all of the little ones like are saying there is, so it's just like turning into chaos.
Yeah, and chapter 5 ends with all the little ones crying out of fear. But I also think a part of that is that they are still so little, and we talked about this a little bit in our last recorded discussion. But when you're young and you're not like getting the necessary nutrition, and you're malnourished, and you're only eating like wild pig, which is something that you're probably not used to if you're from like the UK like these boys are, it's just something that's unusual for you. So that's why all the little ones are crying out of fear, because even though they're being told by their supervisors, Ralph and Jack, like by the older ones, they still believe it. And maybe even if they didn't see a beast and they just saw shadows, they just like in their mind they told themselves that there was a beast, and they just spooked themselves.
Also, they're really like struggling to depending on themselves, since like there's little ones, but there's also like older ones that are kind of our age, which is like still not to have a parent like not controlling you, but like telling you what to do. They're like asking for, like Piggy at one point is like asking for signs from adults, and like they're just like really struggling without a parent leader.
Yeah, And honestly, it would like be really scary to be in that situation too. Like,
Yeah.
and when they don't sleep peacefully either. Like one night when they were sleeping, there was military airplanes that were battling above the island. So like obviously you can't sleep through that because.
Yeah, and the thing about that, they didn't even realize that it was military planes. So
Yeah.
they just like heard a bunch of sounds, and because none of them like really saw it, they just heard it and they got scared, like Malia said. Sam and Eric, the people who were supposed to be controlling, their twins, the people who were supposed to be controlling the signal fire, they had no idea about it, so they didn't light the fire or do anything that they were supposed to do, and they fell asleep. And then after the noise of the military planes stopped, I believe a parachutist, she or he, we don't know who it was yet, fell from the plane dead. So that's when the boys woke up. Sam and his twin woke up to fix the fire after they saw the dead parachute, and they were like, oh my gosh, like where did they come from? There has to be a beast, because how else would they end up here? Because they were asleep, they didn't hear the planes. A few other people heard the planes, but yeah, they just weren't aware that there was a whole entire fight above them.
Yeah. What do you guys think the biggest conflict is right now? Like, would you say it's the beast, or it's just like the boys fighting almost against each other?
I think it's like, honestly, I can't tell because like, no, I think it's like the boys fighting against each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the fights have to do like with the beast too. Like all of them are like just disagreeing, and it's just like, and then there's like a beast, and then like they're trying to search for it, and then some of them are like, no, there's not a beast, so they're not willing to search for it. So it's like all of them I think are just like separating, like
Yeah.
they're not getting along, so which would make it hard to survive as well because they're not helping out each other.
Yeah, I think the subject of the beast could like separate them. Like,
Yeah.
I believe like if anything, like if one more thing really makes like conflict comes up, I think like Jack or like Simon or just someone that like has a voice could like separate and go off on their own.
And even like Simon, I think that he would be a better leader than like, even though he doesn't talk much or isn't like spoken about a lot, like how Ralph and Jack are, I think he would be a great leader. Like a lot of the boys think he's secretive because he like goes off on his own,
Yeah.
tries to find the beast, and I think he might be the smartest one there.
That or
Yeah.
Piggy.
Yeah, Piggy's really smart too. And back to like the signal fire, after that, Sam and Eric, the twins, they ran to the camp to notify everyone, and immediately everybody went out to find the beast. So I think when Claire asked like who's a bigger problem, the beast or the boys being against each other, I think it all originates from the beast, but like Malia said, they're fighting because of the beast, because a few of them think there is and a few of them think that there isn't a beast. But when they all decide to go and hunt for the beast and like go on a mission, you could say, I think that was their way of kind of agreeing. And so Ralph allows Jack and the group to search and find the beast and set out. But yeah, eventually Ralph gets separated, right? And he like goes into the caves and looks for something, and everyone joins him. So they kind of became unified by their biggest disagreement.
Yeah, by their like biggest conflicts, like I feel like.
Yeah, I think when they work together, they work the best because like in the beginning they were just kind of carefree, but at least they weren't fighting. So like their best comes out when they're not fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because when they're not fighting, like when they're getting along, they like need each other. So you kind of have to get along in those type of situations because you need to survive.
Yeah, whether they realize it or not,
Yeah.
they really do need each other.
Yeah.
Like no one, because the little ones couldn't survive without the older ones, but the older ones also need each other to survive.
There's only a lot of pressure on the older ones
Yeah.
just to keep the island running, because even when like there's such a big subject like the beast, like, and that's what the little ones are scared about, they like get distracted and start like doing random stuff instead of looking for the beast. So like there's just like a lot of stress on the older people to like keep the island running
Yeah.
and everyone's safe.
Because even that, like, the little ones can't do much on their own, so like there's a lot of pressure on the older ones to get things for them.
Yeah.
So,
And I believe the chapter ends with like the boys playing games and pushing rocks around when they're supposed to be finding the monster, which does end up making Ralph mad, and he has to remind them that they're looking for a beast. And I think in that moment the boys kind of got caught up in having fun after having to survive and fend for themselves for the past couple of weeks that they've been there. And the other boys still want to play, and they're annoyed by Ralph's commands, but they obey anyway because they know that it's what's best for them.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.